Welcome back to the summit. Still with us from Jerusalem, Mr. Samer Sinjalawi, from Ramallah, Mr. Muhammad Najib, and in our Tel Aviv studios, Brigadier General under Reserves Amir Avivi. Thank you, gentlemen, very much for staying with us. We're also staying on topic, but before we shift focus to the view from Jerusalem, or rather of Jerusalem, let's take a listen to some of Mahmoud Abbas's recent remarks.
Israel is enacting racist laws, consecrating an apartheid regime. Yes, apartheid. And if they do not like that word, that is the truth. They are an apartheid regime. Not only between Palestinians and Jews, they are doing so against our people before the eyes of the international community with total impunity. Israel did not leave us any land which we can establish our independent state in the frame of its frantic settlement expansion. Where will our people live in freedom and dignity? Where can we build our independent state that will live in peace with its neighbours? We want to live in peace with them, with Israel, where we will establish our independent state to live.
So let's get to it. Another quick fire round of 30 seconds each. How will the new pending Benjamin Netanyahu government impact the Palestinian Authority's state? Mr. Samer Sinjalawi, your thoughts.
Of course, the new government will be aggressive on the ground. It's a right-wing government, and we have been listening to voices like Smotrich and Ben-Gvir on how they are going to exercise some ideas, dismantling the PA, relaxing a little bit the opening of fire rules and etc. But I think this government will be a golden opportunity on the diplomatic arena. This government, it will erase the cosmetics from the face of the Israeli policy in the international arena. It will be a golden opportunity for us to expand our diplomatic relation and put more pressure on Israel.
Yes, I can see Muhammad Najib nodding there. Your 30 seconds are on.
Yes, the Palestinian Authority has a very difficult and bad experience with Netanyahu governments in the past, especially when Trump was at office. So I think they are very much concerned from having Ben-Gvir and Smotrich at this government, and they will suffer financial restrictions by the Netanyahu government, annexation of land in the West Bank, and maybe those restrictions will lead to the collapse of the Palestinian Authority.
Brigadier General Amir Avivi, your thoughts?
Well, I think that the difference between this government and the former is, first of all, they won't see Abu Mazen as a partner. They will demand accountability. They will demand the stop of the funding of terror. We have to remember that although the Palestinian Authority doesn't have a lot of budget, it directs at least 50% of its budget to budget terror, and it incites in its education system. So the government will demand accountability, and also it will have to get ready for a possibility of a collapse and see what are the options that are on the table.
And in this respect, you know what, let's begin from this point. Is there anything the Israeli government can do to prevent a Palestinian Authority collapse? Should it engage in attempts to do it, Mr. Avivi?
Well, I'm not sure it should prevent it, because I think the Palestinian Authority on a global level is a strategic threat to Israel. Not only they're funding terror, not only they're inciting in their own education system, they're also managing the whole BDS movement, which is destroying the Jewish world. It's creating anti-Semitism, it's creating problem in universities. I don't see anything good coming out of this Palestinian Authority, and I think we definitely need other options.
So not to proactively engage in attempts to salvage it. Mr. Sinjalawi, from the Palestinian standpoint, does it really matter who is in charge in Jerusalem, whether it's Benjamin Netanyahu or someone else? Who are the cabinet ministers? Will there be any Israeli leader who will get a kosher stamp from the Palestinians?
I don't think there is a difference between any leadership, because Israel policy is determined not by the ideology of those are in the cabinet. It's determined by the red lines the Americans define for them. So the Israelis know their limits in the West Bank. Even when Smotrich come to the cabinet, or Ben-Gvir, they will start learning when they put the suit and get into the ministerial car with the driver next to them, and they will start realizing that they are part of the government, they will start learning that there are some limits, and the Americans are putting these limits. Nobody that can exceed them. Having a right-wing government that will do a lot of lip service, of vocal stupidities by identifying themselves as right-wing, by saying that we will create a ministry to transfer Palestinians to Europe to have some jobs there, or by saying that we will dissolve the PA, or by saying we will annex areas C, and we want to dissolve the civil administration. These kind of slogans will put a lot of pressure on the Israelis. They are going to take out the mask of occupation and take down the cosmetics that the other left-wing
But in practice, on the ground, nothing. Yeah. So Mr. Najib, I can see you disagreeing. Does it matter who is in charge in Jerusalem?
I disagree that the Americans have significant pressure on the Israeli policy in the West Bank. As since Biden came to the White House, right now the Americans convinced the Israelis to improve the economic situation of the Palestinians in the West Bank, to support the Palestinian Authority, but they didn't manage in doing anything right now. And they transferred the Palestinian-Israeli political conflict into humanitarian and services issue, and limited to issue work permits in constructions and in agriculture sector in Israel only. And they forgot everything about political process between the Palestinians and the Israelis. They just support the two-state solution, but they do nothing which will lead to the collapse of this hope between the Palestinians and the Israelis.
And maybe, gentlemen, just maybe, befitting all the previous peace deals Israel had, maybe Benjamin Netanyahu's full-on right-wing government will be the one to negotiate a long-term peace deal with the Palestinians, Brigadier General Avivi.
Well, I think that we have to remember what is the problem. At the end of the day, there is no one Palestinian entity. We left Gaza and Hamas took over. We left parts of North Samaria, and Hamas or the Islamic Jihad are controlling Jenin. So basically, by us withdrawing, this will be the end of, for sure, of the Palestinian Authority, and Hamas will take over. The only thing maintaining the Palestinian Authority alive is Israel, and that I agree. And who are we supposed to negotiate to? Who is representing the Palestinians? Hamas in Gaza, who is controlling half of them? Or the Palestinian Authority that maybe controls a quarter of them? Or the Islamic Jihad? There is not one entity to talk to, so therefore I cannot see any way you can move forward with any talks when you don't have anybody to talk to.
Samer Sinjalawi, if Benjamin Netanyahu wants to engage in peace talks, who should he pick up the phone call?
Well, currently he likes very much the split among the Palestinians because he wants to avoid talks. He's trying to buy time. I think one of the strategic mistakes of the current political elite in Israel is that they are cheating their people. They are trying to explain to the people that the problem between us and the Palestinians is a security problem, and we are trying to use the military and our intelligence in solving it. And this is not correct.
But Samer Sinjalawi, if Benjamin Netanyahu wants to pick up the phone tomorrow and call a Palestinian leader to negotiate peace, whose number should he,
He doesn't need to negotiate peace. If he wants really to implement peace, he could simply withdraw from all the Palestinian occupied territories. Israel does not need a Palestinian partner to implement a peace agreement. But let him first of all stop his impunity, his support to Abbas. Let him first of all accept that the Palestinians will do elections. And then when the Palestinians elect a leadership, he will know who is the address. It's the elections that will decide who's going to lead the Palestinians. Currently, there is no leadership. There is a vacuum.
Yeah, and on that note, gentlemen, we have to end our discussion. Thank you so very much for your time and insight. Mohammed Najib in Ramallah, Samer Sinjalawi in Jerusalem, and Brigadier General Amir Avivi in Tel Aviv. Thank you, gentlemen. Out for a 2-minute break and back with much